It's one of the biggest failures out there that people have been looking forward to. Not one of the biggest failures in movies, but one of the biggest failures that people have been looking forward to. Just want to get this shit done.
The heat signature's rising fast.
We gotta get out of here.
Where's Jean? Where is she?
DTmerch.com. Didn't have to do any kind of crazy segue right there. It just came natural today.
It was all teed up for you.
Living up to my character, the peddler, right here. Oh, he strikes again, Martin the peddler. And remember, folks, that we get by with your support on doubletoasted.com. This is the main place that we do our business by doing all these live streams that people love. Talking about, of course, Dark Phoenix. People are so happy to hear that it bombed at the box office this weekend.
They can't begin to comprehend what you are.
You came here looking for permission.
That's what that mouse said. You belong to me now. It's petty, man, almost that people would just...
Yeah, it's petty.
People were rooting for this movie to fail right here. Yeah, it definitely wasn't that good, but I don't think it was the worst out of the whole series. And people can go and watch that review on this channel, or you can watch the full review on our Double Toasted page, doubletoasted.com. They heard about how I had to push the release date for this. They heard about the production problems. They heard about the reshoots. So it wouldn't be confused with another superpowered woman out there who had her movie out first. Captain Marvel. But we ain't going to say shit about that.
Man, you got to wonder if they had this ready to go and Captain Marvel came out and they saw it and they went, no, okay, get everybody back.
Disney's like a drug dealer taking over a corner, man. Just f***ing with them. You ready to come over here yet? You know I can protect you. I mean, no matter where this is going to go, y'all can wait for this movie to run its course. Just let it do what it's going to do.
Yeah, let it have a little something.
Disney's going to get this.
Let it go out with some dignity.
They just out there trying to do their thing.
The thing is, if that deal with Fox, if Disney had waited for this to come out, they could have been like, I don't know if we really want to buy this.
No, Fox would have been like, hey, man, take it. This is a bargain now.
That's what I'm saying.
Disney over there. You ready for me to take that off your hands yet?
Yeah.
Anytime. It's just sitting there.
I'm sure you guys know what you're doing. It's fine.
I would normally sit up here and try to defend some of this because as much as I think movies are not great, even bad, sometimes unless they're just really cash grabs, I'm not really going in and rooting for them to just fail out of just sheer pettiness. But I have to say that this brought it on itself. I have no sympathy for what happened with this movie. This franchise went so bad where it led up to this, that Dark Phoenix, where we are right now with it, this shows that Fox fucked up more than DC.
Yeah.
And I will tell you how. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to examine, one, how it did mess up more than DC. We're going to examine some other ways in which this went wrong, just from what we saw with this movie. And I guess we'll throw in a little bit on how Marvel can go in and avoid doing what they've done here, which they will. You know, there's no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
But, you know, the reason why I don't feel bad for this at all is because they had an opportunity to end this clean. And not only just clean, but they had an opportunity to end this perfectly. They had an opportunity to close the chapter on a good note, on a great note, on a meaningful, emotional note. Y'all had it done already, but you couldn't leave well enough alone.
I hurt myself today.
You know, that was perfect closure right there. And we're talking about Logan. And the reason why, if they could have done it, the reason why this would have been perfect to close it right there. Well, for one, spoiler for people who haven't seen it, but it's been 2 goddamn years. You know, now, you know, the spoiler alerts are off limits here. But this was a movie where all the mutants, as far as we know them, they're dead.
They're dead, yeah.
Yeah, they're gone, man. All the OG mutants that we know, they died except for the people we see here. And you know, again, spoiler alert, but if you haven't heard by now, yeah, Wolverine dies too.
Xavier dies.
Charles Xavier dies. All of them dead. At least the ones we know. Now they end on a bittersweet, hopeful note where you got, you know,
what is essentially the New Mutants.
Yeah, New Mutants and Young Mutants that go off there. But we don't need that movie. What it is saying though, this would have been a perfect time to say, you know what, this is a goodbye, and a very good, because this is a great film.
Yeah,
this has been a great note to say goodbye to the fans. That's a fitting note. Because it means, because in a way that part of Fox, it is dead now. It's gone. That's not happening anymore.
Sure, but that's the closure of one, you know, or two characters, where everybody had been around for all the others and wanted to, you know, didn't want everybody else to have died off screen.
I can see that. I'm not arguing because I can see that. But the other reason why I say that is because, well, this came out in 2017. Mm-hmm. Just a mere year before that, we had, y'all know it, I don't even need to say the name.
Some call him Apocalypse.
Or Ivan Ooze. Some people call him in the news, which I cannot argue with.
Everything they've built will fall.
Oh yeah, we heard this shit. And I think this is one of the worst chapters. And you know, it's arguable whether it. You know, I'm not saying by my opinion, but by many people, this is. Some people debate whether it is the worst, or if there's another worst film in there. You know, Wolverine Origins. That's an offshoot, so I don't really even count it as far as this series goes, which is pretty bad. But you know, but this right here, some people say that this is terrible, man. And at this point, I think that a lot of people were just happy to be done with this.
Sure.
You know, they saw where this was going. There were other things that were happening with this. I think just to be, and this is why I think Logan would have went well, because a lot of people said, you know, just to be on the safe side, man, we ended on a good note right here. You know, let's not tempt fate no more. When they made Dark Phoenix, you know, the studios were just kind of like, well, we already made this movie. You know, they didn't. It already existed. They didn't know what to. They had no clue what to do with this. They've been debating. Should we even put it out there? Mm-hmm. Dark Phoenix is like that kid that the parents regret having. You know? It's kind of like nobody wanted you. We don't love you. It was too late for an abortion.
Right.
And thus begins the tale on how this series messed up in so many ways, including one on how they f***ed up more than DC. I respect having that, because I don't know what you would have done with it. It's too many stars in there. Some from Game of Thrones, you know, Sophie Turner's in there. Yeah. You know, it's not like they could just cast this thing aside and not do anything with it. They had to do something. So I get them having to release it. But it shows so many flaws in where this series was going, even when they were sometimes at their most successful, how bad this was.
Yeah, well, also, you know, it's written and directed by Simon Kinberg, who had been writing these movies all along. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it's him going like, look, I know these characters. They are me. Let me handle this, and I will show you how it's supposed to be done.
I look at something like this, and I feel bad about all the shit I talked about with DC sometimes. I look back on this, and I was like, wow, you were a real asshole, man, at the time.
Well, don't let DC off the hook.
I ain't saying I'm sorry.
Okay.
I ain't apologizing.
Okay.
I'm saying that, yes, you f***ed up, but somebody did it worse than you, and they ain't catching the hell that you do.
They f***ed up more than DC, but they gave us the first two. First Class, Days of Future Past, Logan.
No.
This DCEU has not given us Logan.
No. See, I was ready for people to say that,
okay.
And not you, but there's some people out there who, you know, they're DC fanboys are ready to cuss my ass out and tell me, yeah, but nothing. Shut the fuck up and listen to what I'm telling you right now. Man of Steel. So Man of Steel came out in 2013. 2013. Mm-hmm. And Man of Steel, you know, that that shows that at the time that, yeah, DC, Warner Brothers, they were trying to rush into the universe building game with Marvel at the time, and I get it. you know, with them rushing so fast, that's what led to their death song, which is Justice League right here. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for any of this. There's no excuse for having no foundation set for you trying to take on such epic storytelling. While Man is still starting in 2013, with DC starting at that time to catch up with Marvel, Fox started in 2000. Fox started in 2000 with the original X-Men.
Yeah.
The X-Men movie that came out in 2000. That was 20 years ago. And that was even before Marvel was doing their thing.
Right.
That is when did Avengers come out? Was it like 2012? 12 years, over a decade after X-Men came out. And to even give now the ideas were never these were not good ideas, but they even had ideas of aspirations of building their own universe before Marvel was going to do it. We were talking yesterday about how they were going to have a Fantastic Four versus X-Men. Now,
were they?
It would have been shitty.
Oh, hell yeah.
But at least they were thinking about it.
Sure. Well, they were also, like with the Wolverine Origins, they would want to do separate origin movies with all the different characters.
Yeah.
And build it all up that way.
With all that time that they had. And don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm going in and not looking at the things that you said were good, because there were some great things in there, man. I'm looking at some of the things that they were. There've been some bad things in there. There's been some very bad things in there. We had the Last Stand. Last Stand was terrible. Where they just killed off characters
with no explanation. I mean, with very little explanation. You start killing off major characters.
Yeah, for no reason. At the same time, though, they gave us some really great things in there. I always thought Days of Future Past is one of the best movies.
Oh, absolutely. Outside of Logan, it's my favorite.
Yeah, so these movies, some of these things that they've done are some of my favorite superhero movies. I'm grateful for whatever they've done for us. I am so happy. I am forever grateful for one of my favorite scenes in superhero movie history. With that, as far as I'm concerned, they did it so well. Fox can't even top it themselves. That's the Quicksilver scene.
Yeah.
I would spend them with you.
I just would have made one of those cops grabbing another dick or something. Hey, man. What the?
The thing is, that whole scene, it's inspired, like, because you don't see it coming. You're like, oh, this is so smart and fun and creative, and it's fun to watch it play out. You can watch it again and again, and none of the following X-Men movies had scenes like that.
No, you're right. No, I'm not sitting up here and talking about them so bad that I'm not talking about the groundbreaking things that they've done. X-Men was one of the best superhero movies out there.
I mean, that movie is important because it proved that a superhero team movie could be done.
Let's go to do the two.
Yeah, it did. It sure did. And they continue to do some innovative things with that. I appreciate them taking chances, man, that nobody else was willing to take. Where everybody out there was being, they were being kind of bitches about this. Fox went in and said, nah, man, when y'all ask for rated R, we're going to do it. You want Deadpool, we give you Deadpool. We already talked about them doing a rated R Logan movie, which people wanted to. They're like, man, we done had this man with these goddamn butcher knives for years, and we ain't seen no blood. Now, come on, goddamn it, just once. They had the foundation of a universe before DC and before Marvel, and they spent 20 years doing spots of innovative things, but not doing anything with their overarching story.
Right.
They all these years, man, they never really advanced the main X-Men story too much.
Well, it seems like everything went wrong for them when Bryan Singer quit to do Superman Returns.
Yeah.
That's when they went into a tailspin.
But that was a script writing thing too, I believe, because all these main stories, the ones that follow the main X-Men, the School of Mutants, Professor Xavier and Magneto, all of them always ended on this sexual tension between Professor X and Magneto, man. They always hello, old friend. You know what the last movie should have been? These two each other. finally admitting, It should have, you know what it should have been? It should have been Magneto just lifting up that Professor X's chair. What are you doing, Eric? What are you know you want this Charles. No,
Don't fight me, Charles.
Give in, Charles. No, okay. Always playing chess. That chess. Knock that shit over and throw Charles in that table. Yeah, hello, old friend. I'm exaggerating, but it always came down to them repeating the same cycle, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny when Magneto's like, Charles, you keep making those same speeches and nobody wants to hear that shit.
He was done. He was usually Eric Magneto, he's just kind of like, get out of my way, Charles. You do not understand how they are to us. But this time he's like, this shit again.
I'm sorry for what she did.
Ah, shit.
I'm sorry for what she did.
You see him shaking his head? He's like, who's writing this shit? Jesus. Pick his chair up.
I know, get out of the chair. We know you can walk.
No, Eric, no.
All right, fine. I can walk.
Shit, somebody light a firecracker behind his chair.
Mike Brady dropping the briefcase.
Oh, it seems my mutant powers have passed to my legs. Wow. No.
Ooh, what's that?
Every one of these movies are kind of following this same note right here, and that was one of the things I think hurt it the most. You can't try to create these big films, these event films where it's supposed to be mutant versus mutants in the final chapter if you haven't had any progression leading to that.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. By the time that they tried to have that big epic finish, they were making the same mistakes as DC, but should be held against them greater because they had longer and more room to actually improve. I avoided saying this because I really wanted this to succeed without having to depend on older characters. But the other thing why these big epic stories won't work is because you can't have a huge epic story if your characters simply can't support it.
Right.
That's another reason why I say they should have stopped with Wolverine, because you had something, you had a character that everybody already loved, and you could leave with that character, not try to fill, not do another movie where that void isn't filled by him. Wolverine, look, I hate to say it,
he had been in every one of the movies. He was the Tony Stark of these things.
He really was. And they didn't have characters strong enough to support this film, and I don't know if it would have helped if they had Wolverine in it, but it definitely did. It definitely his loss was felt.
Yeah, but
also people just didn't like the new cast because of certain reasons that we'll get into in a little bit. Not that the original cast was perfect.
No,
and they had some. They even had some mutants in there that they kind of got wrong, but for the most part, people. People like them even with their flaws, and I commend the new series for even trying to fix that. That new Storm that they had, at least they gave her proper accent.
They gave her a proper accent, and they showed her on the streets of Cairo being a thief.
Yes, so they stayed true to her accent and true to her character and origin and background. Where Halle Berry just didn't get.
You know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
Shit, the same thing that happens to a human? Electrocutes the I mean, what does that mean?
Well, it's not like she was setting up for a joke. It's just like, no, same thing that happens to anything else.
Yeah. But she didn't give that. She didn't give a She didn't even try.
I always wonder, is it not giving a or is it just not understanding your character? Like somebody says, this is based on a comic book.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I never read that.
Yeah. Not that Halle Berry was terrible. She had a good look, but it was just like a lot of people say, yeah, much as I like these movies, they didn't even try.
The funny thing is for years when I got talked about who would they cast as Storm, it was always, even amongst the fans, Halle Berry's name was the one that came up. And then once they did it, everybody was like, man, that was some bullshit.
Yeah. Who would you cast? Halle Berry? Good. I didn't mean it. It's because she's fine as at least they tried to fix it. But the reason why people didn't like these new characters is because even though they tried to fix them and make them true to their characters and they were younger, there was no real, there was not a lot of character development behind it.
That is the problem. Because, having finally watched Apocalypse and watching this movie, it's like, there was just no character development. So at the point where Jean Grey is, she's losing her mind and going bad, I'm like, well, I ain't really know who she was before. So
she was not a character. Yeah, she was not a character. If you mean if you're going to have this central character that you're supposed to fear and have sympathy for, well, shit, let me know who she is before then. Also, the relationships between characters. Jean Grey, who's the Dark Phoenix in this movie, she's supposed to have this love story with Cyclops,
right?
And
something they've shortchanged throughout this entire movie series.
And you never felt that, never felt that at all. Characters are supposed to be sympathetic towards each other and want to help each other out when they're at their worst.
Look at me. You're my family, Jean. Stop. No matter what. Stop.
Wow. If only you felt that way about the people watching the movie. I'm there for you. I wish you were.
I'm not giving up on you, Jean.
You're fun because you gave up on everybody else. She was there for a paycheck for this whole thing. And it's hard to really, and that's another thing. It's hard to really be into it even when your original characters that were there for a while, even though she wasn't one of the originals, but some of your characters have been there for a while that you were into. It doesn't help that they didn't give a shit. At all. I mean, we made fun of Michael Fassbender shaking his head, but we're only laughing because I even heard stories where he didn't want to be there. Well, he was only there for the director.
Right.
Like he was, and I guess he figured, like if you look at it, he's kind of like, well, shit, if this is the last one, all right, fine, I'll do it.
Imagine the director like saying, Mike, please, I need you for this.
Yeah,
I'll suck your dick.
And you know what he was like? He was like, well, okay. This is something where they weren't given enough for the new cast to do anything with, and the original cast just didn't have their heart in it. No. How are you going to actually do your last big epic movie when nobody wants to be there? And the people who are there, you don't know.
Nobody was begging for an epic.
Yeah.
The epic was Apocalypse, and that didn't go well. Logan was a smaller movie. Worked out perfectly.
Yeah, and
that's when you go like, all right, guys, let's pull back.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed with Avengers Endgame, at the end of Avengers Endgame, and by this time everybody knows this, I don't want you to say about spoiling. At the end of Avengers Endgame, everybody was there. They had 100 superheroes on the screen.
Is that everyone? You wanted more?
I hope you haven't seen this movie just now. I hope you haven't seen this movie. You saw that right there. He catches the hammer. Shit. I did not do that. They put that on TV.
Wow.
To with the people who had not seen the movie yet. But they had 100 heroes on that screen at the end. They made sure that they gave a shot for everybody in there. And the funny thing about it is you cared for every single one
of them. Yeah.
You cared for every single one of them, even characters you didn't even know. Uh-huh. There was an extra back there dressed like a Wakandan, and you don't know who he was, but you loved them. Uh-huh. Because you just loved that moment. Mm-hmm. And plus the characters that you already knew made you care enough just about the world.
True.
It was like being at a bar drunk watching a sports game. Uh-huh. You know, when your team is winning and you just drunkenly hugging people. I don't know you, but I love you, man. Love me, man. You cared about every character. Now, that's the thing with this movie. Another huge mistake. If you don't care about the main characters, how are you gonna care about some generic ass mutant that you just met in this movie, who they don't even give a name to? For the people that saw this, And apparently it wasn't a lot judging from the box office this weekend. But for the people that saw this, did anybody give a shit about cornrows, man?
Oh,
the dude, like the dude that like can fight with his pigtails. They didn't even give a shit. Who let that out of the concept art area? At all,
it just seemed like cheapness. There's that point of we need mutants, but what can we do? What do we have money for? We can make him plant-based. We don't have. God damn it! No CGI.
You know this dude meant to be an octopus man at first, and then just being a dude with long, long pigtails.
Just one of the guys on the set, just helping build sets, and they're like, "Come here, man, your hair's long. Let's see what you can do with that."
Out of all the concept art, y'all chose cornrows, man. I got a dude that has bat wings that fly at his ass. No.
Yeah,
I got a dude that he just fight with his hair. And what else? Nothing? Just
That's good enough. Get him over here.
He just pokes people in the eyes with
Is he close?
With his dreadlocks. His power is his mutant activator. We'll take him.
That's one of those mutations that nobody even needs to know you have.
No, I wouldn't.
As long as you get your hair to behave, nobody knows anything.
I might use it to like pickpocket somebody every now and then.
Sure, yeah, no, reach over and grab stuff for you.
You gonna see me out there looking like goddamn Rick James or some shit, fighting people with my hair, looking like Snoop Dogg.
You can prank people, go around, tap them on the shoulder, and come back.
Who did that?
I think it was him.
And your hair is like, he did. Wait. It all came down to that the movie really, and for all the things they could have done, the potential was there. And everybody's talking about, well, they had this much potential. Why didn't they use it? It really sadly came down to that. They just didn't care anymore. They got paid. They actually meant for that to not be the end. They probably were thinking like, all right, we probably going to get another one out of this once it's done. So they probably had something planned for it.
And then somebody came in and said like, nah, bro. Nah. Wrap this shit up, B. Wrap it up.
Mouse walked in the room and like, shut it down. And that's a thunder he got when he came. Shut it all down.
But
yeah, I don't even know if judging from this movie, if that the direction they were going would have helped. But
that's the thing. It's in theory, making this 2 or 3 movies would have made it much better. But then there's so many things wrong with it.
Yeah,
there's like, would anybody really sit around for 2 more of these?
No, and it's obvious that they thought they had more with this, because now what are they going to do with New Mutants? This is supposed to be their horror mutant film, which again, something that they were trying, I thought would be pretty cool. But
after seeing Brightburn, I'm not sad to lose this.
Yeah, or it could have been better than Brightburn. Who knows? You know what I mean? But the thing is like, now they got this on their hands. They don't even know what to do with that, because they had plans of continuing on.
Right.
But I will say at this point, that whole thing with Marvel being the powerhouse they are, even DC starting to do some interesting things.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was going in an area where it could compete as well as it was in the past.
Right.
So Disney coming in and taking this as a saving grace, man.
Mm-hmm.
My only regret is that they had to end on a somber note with this one. And as much as I love this series, it's terrible. But at the same time, they had moments where they could have easily have built this up to be something better. It's their fault that they didn't have, like, these characters never had enough time to get the characterizations that they need. It's not their fault that some of these older actors are just not into it anymore. And I feel for the people that like this and want to see more.
Sure. Or the actors who were still into it.
Yeah. Feel for the people that want to know the further adventures of Cornrows Man, right there. You're never going to get his movie. Cornrows Origin. We're all eager to see what Disney does with this somewhere down the line.
Yeah, we're looking forward to what they do with XMen and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
future's still
Spider-Man and eventually Justice League.
Yeah.
They'll be taking that eventually.
What, the Marvel?
Yeah.
Just give me all this shit. None of y'all know what I'm doing with taking all this. Sit down. Come on, baby. Well, look at you. You watched the whole video. You must really like us. So hit that subscribe button and keep up with everything that we do. Also, check out our main site, doubletoasted.com, where you'll find the long-form version of this video, uncensored, unedited, and also the live streams that we do almost every night. Support us at dtmerch.com. And remember to always stay toasty.